Disney's been having a tough time at the box office this year, but they might have some help on the horizon. But just kind of going back to what's been going wrong with the company, as you recall, Snow White has been in theaters about a month at this time. And according to this article that was published yesterday, it's only made $169 million. Now, mind you, that's not $169 million domestically, that's globally. And with the reported budget of $270 million, which we all know the actual budget is much higher than that, but still, assuming that it actually is a $270 million budget before marketing, then this is going to go down as one of the biggest, if not biggest, box office failure in company history, because when it's all said and done, it'll probably struggle to even break $200 million at the global box office, which is saying an awful lot about how much people did not like this movie. But as I started out the video saying, that there might be some help on the horizon, because Lilo and Stitch is set to come out over Memorial Day weekend next month. And so far, according to the early projections, it's actually looking like it's going to have a pretty solid start. Lilo and Stitch at $100 million and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning hit long tracking mega Memorial Day box office weekend in store. So this is according to Deadline right here. And $100 million opening for Lilo and Stitch would be a pretty solid opening. Now, that's not going to say that the movie's going to be an automatic hit. That's not enough for it to be profitable right out of the gate like that. But it is a pretty strong start to make $100 million domestically during its opening weekend. And so long as audiences actually enjoy the movie and are willing to come back and it has a decent enough hold at the box office, then this could be probably the first big movie for Disney this year that's actually profitable. If Disney and Marvel Studios' Thunderbolt doesn't kick off the summer with a projected $70 million start, oh, and that's another thing, Thunderbolts is going to be coming out in a few weeks, and it's expected to have a $70 million domestic opening on a $180 million budget. And a $70 million opening for a movie of that budget is not a real good sign for it. I'm not saying that the movie's going to be a flop right yet, but it's not a good sign. If people actually really enjoyed the movie and it can drive out audiences who are kind of skeptical on it, then it's possible the movie could be profitable. But most people right now are just kind of assuming that Thunderbolts is going to be another flop for Disney. But let's continue on. Then don't worry, the studio's live action Lilo and Stitch and Paramount Skydance's finale Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning will absolutely get the job done when they hit theaters over Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, and that's because this article is talking about just theaters in general. They've been struggling since the start of the year because a lot of people haven't been showing up to movies. Minecraft is kind of a shot in the arm for them that's really helped revitalize the theaters right now, but that's going to die off pretty soon. So the next big thing that people are expecting are Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible 8. 6 weekends in advance tracking has hit for both movies and Quorum, with Lilo and Stitch eyeing a $100 million 3-day opening. And like I said, that would be a fantastic opening for this, just so long as audiences are okay with what they're doing with the movie, because that's one of the things that ultimately hurt Snow White at the box office. A lot of people who saw the movie or saw the marketing leading up to the release of it weren't really thrilled about the idea that they're changing the source material, they're deviating from the source material. Now, obviously, Rachel Zegler and her rhetoric hurt the box office potential of the movie, but I think the movie would have been a bomb regardless. I just think her contribution to it probably cost them a couple $100 million at the box office. So even if you added that to what they're going to end up with, it's still not enough to be profitable on the budget that they had for it. But Lilo and Stitch, it's looking like they're actually trying to be more faithful to it. I mean, we've even seen articles coming out talking about how they're trying to be as faithful to the original movie as possible. And this is something that audiences want, because to me, it just makes sense. If you're adapting something that's based off of a beloved animated movie like Lilo and Stitch, then presumably it's because you're trying to capture that audience who loved the original movie. And if you're just going to try to do something that they don't like, because, okay, I'm taking something that these people like and I'm going to reimagine it. So why would you change it? To me, that makes no sense. Like, it'd be like buying up a pizza restaurant and then saying like, okay, we're no longer going to sell pizza here because we bought this restaurant because it had a lot of people who would show up there. People love this restaurant, so I'm going to buy it and make a lot of money off of it, but I don't like pizza, so I'm going to change it to something else and then act surprised when people who used to go there no longer are interested in going there. That's what it's like when you try to change the the source material or try to change the story when you're adapting something like this. Maybe Disney learned with Snow White and they're like, okay, well, when it comes to Lilo and Stitch, well, actually, this is too far along for them to have learned from Snow White. Maybe they were just trying multiple avenues, or they had different filmmakers behind both of them, where one was wanting to do their own thing. When it came to Lilo and Stitch, they're like, let's be faithful to the original one, or at least that's the impression I'm getting with it. And so far from the early reactions to it, people are more receptive to it. And as the projections are showing, it looks like this movie could actually be successful by following that formula. We don't know what's going to happen until the movie actually comes out, because even if they are faithful to the source material, doesn't necessarily mean people are going to like to have a live action remake. But people have shown time and time again that they're willing to give Disney a shot and give them money if they're making movies that people actually want. So it's not so much as people are just refusing to watch Disney stuff. Disney can still win over audiences if their movies are good enough, or their movies that people want to see. So we'll have to see with Lilo and Stitch what happens with that. One thing though, after Snow White failed, Disney kind of panicked. They put a pause on Tangled because that was something that was supposed to come out. And I'm thinking when it came to Tangled, there was one of two ways that they can go about doing that movie. They could either try to be faithful to the original movie, or they can try to change it and do their own thing with it. They saw Snow White failed when they were trying to change it and do their own thing. So maybe they're thinking like, okay, well, let's just wait until Lilo and Stitch comes out before we pursue further action when it comes to Tangled. Because if Lilo and Stitch is the movie that's trying to be faithful to the source material and that still fails, then that would signal to Disney that people aren't interested in their live action remakes anymore. So they should just pull the plug on Tangled entirely. But if it turns out to be a success, well, then that would signal to Disney, you can make live action remakes and people will support them just so long as you're maintaining faithfulness to the original movie. Me personally, I would prefer Disney to try to create new stuff instead of just trying to recycle what they already have. I mean, I've heard jokes, people saying like in 10 years, you're going to see Disney make animated remakes of their live action movies that were based off of the animated movies to begin with. I would prefer Disney to, be a bit more original when it comes to their movies. But if this is the only thing that they've been doing, because they've made original movies these last couple of years and those have been box office failures. So Disney's under the impression that they need to make remakes and sequels and other things like that. And if those are the only things that are making money for them, then I really can't blame Disney for just churning out the same thing over and over again, because the audience is telling them this is what they want. And if you're someone who doesn't like Disney doing that, well, then you would have to not support these type of movies and start supporting the original ones that they put out. But if you don't like the original ones that they're putting out, well, then there's only so much you can do. Disney is just operating under the information that they got from the audience, and audiences signaling, we want faithful adaptations of the animated movies. At least so far, they've signaled that, and Disney's just following through. Unless, like I said, Lilo and Stitch fails, well, then that would tell Disney, even if you're being a faithful adaptation of an animated movie, that's not going to be enough to bring in audiences. And then Disney's back to the drawing board, figuring out what they're going to do. And I think their next approach would be just do sequels, because we saw last year at the box office with Inside Out 2, Moana 2, animated sequels to animated movies. Those were highly successful. I think Disney's going to continue doing that. I mean, even Bob Iger has said that that's kind of the future of Disney at this point, is sequels and franchises and other things like that. So at the very least, that's something that you should expect from Disney. The future of live action remakes is still up in the air, but let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think Lilo and Stitch will actually be the movie that kind of saves them, at least for the time being? Or do you think that is going to be another failure for them and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.